Hi there, it's Polly here with, hey, the ever-adventurous Mr. Snoots. Yay! So, I have a bunch of goodies for you today. Bling! So, I got sent this by a viewer. It's their game, and I really enjoyed it. So, thanks very much for sending that in. This is 12 Years. 12 Years is a really well-produced little solo RPG. And yeah, it's a spectacularly good piece of work. So we come with basic 12 Years book. There's also an expansion, the Demon Lord expansion, which is an extra campaign over and above the initial campaign. There's also some campaign journal books, some optional exploring tables. What else have we got? Quick reference charts and so on. So it's well served for additional material and game aids, which is really great to see. Yay! So, what is it? Woohoo, I'm glad you asked. So, 12 Years is a solo fantasy RPG. It's a very challenging one. It can be very bloody at times. So, what you are going to be doing is creating a small adventure party, and you're on a mighty quest. But the 12 years thing is a key because this covers passage of time. You have 12 years to complete the quest. So in the initial quest, essentially there is this Lich King, and every 12 years he starts to awaken. You have to find this lost crown and place it upon the Lich King's head, and he will go back to sleep. But you've got 12 years to do it. Otherwise, bad things, Mikey, bad things. So, passage of time is very important, and years can go by. The kind of other way that you could end this is somehow fighting the Lich King as he arises, but that's real tough, and you'll need some pretty special gear to be able to do it. So there's kind of minor win, major win. But you have a hex-exploring system where you have a hex map, you have your starting town, and you have to go out and start exploring the wilderness, trying to find where this lost crown may be. As you start the game, you will have a random chart. You'll need normal RPG dice. There's D6s, D12s, D4s, and so on regularly in play. But what you do is you randomly generate who's going to be in the party and how strong the party is. Now, each type of person that comes into the party has special abilities. So initially there's things like, what have we got? The Hermit. The Hermit is a pacifist. He's not that much good in combat, but what he can do is he can heal the party. And he's also kind of sagacious. You can have a rogue. The rogue is really good at disabling traps. So if you've got a rogue with you, he will negate the damage that you would take from traps. But he's really into self-preservation. So when the party takes damage, the first time the rogue is damaged, he can just basically flee. He can just smack off, and it doesn't affect him. Huzzah! Which is good news for the rogue. However, if you're trying to like spread damage more evenly amongst a party, that could be real bad news for the rest of the party. Fey folk. Now, one of the main ways that you will lose time in this is accidentally wandering into Fey areas. You wander into them, and it just costs you a few years of time. As, oh yes, you wander in there for, blunder about for a couple of days, but you come out and years have passed in the real world. If you have a Fey person with you, you can ignore those time-sucking Fey results. And also there are some items that are Fey enchanted, and those are usually always just terrible for you. Kill party members, or again, do a time suck. The Fey people will cancel those out. Great one is a giant, which has massive hit points and can just deal out a ton of brute force damage, but they are quite slow, which means that you lose the ability to evade encounters. What does it do? Yeah. So essentially, if you're trying to evade something, or if you're down in a dungeon and you find something tough, having a giant with you means you can't snatch loot and flee. He's so slow you can really only choose one or the other. But on the other hand, he's a combat wombat and, has a ton of damage soak for you. So great. So off you go onto these amazing little quests. You get some starting gold, you purchase equipment and so on in the usual ways, and then off you head out into the wilderness. As you move into a hex, it randomly generates what's in the hex and starts to generate terrain and rivers and lakes and so on. And you begin to find encounters. There are, of course, monsters and creatures and so on. There are also recurring characters that appear. Some of these are total bastards. Some of these are really useful, but there is kind of a little landscape of personalities in this thing. So, okay, cool. But as you defeat wilderness creatures, you can find magics. Quite importantly, you can also find essentially dungeons, and you can go delving. The system then has a way of generating the dungeons themselves. Rooms, what exits they've got, what they link into. Some of these have monsters in them, some of them are empty, some of them are trapped. If they're trapped, that's where the rogue comes in and negates the damage that you would otherwise take. When there are monsters, you must face them or you must try and evade them. But these places are obviously great for loot. Now, damage. What you do when you're in combat is you are rolling a 6-sided dice straight up. And it will tell you how the combat for that round has gone. And the kind of results you can get is either the monsters take damage, the party takes damage, the monsters take a lot of damage and the party takes a little, or the party takes a lot of damage and the monsters take a little. When the party damages the monsters, everyone rolls their dice for their weapons and so on, and you can allocate that to the monsters as you wish. If it's a single monster, obviously it all pours onto the one guy, but if there's multiples, you can spread it around. However, when the monsters fight, the damage goes on one character. This is randomly generated, which one takes it. Obviously, that self-preservation thing for the rogue, the first time it lands on him, nope, he doesn't take it. But the damage goes on someone else. He ducks and that arrow hits the guy behind him. So the rogue might be the best choice for last man standing, but on the other hand, it's a communal party that you're running. So it is brutal. You will lose party members. I played this thing, and it was damn challenging. You can go back into town, and you can try and spend money to recruit more party members. You can try and purchase better gear, obviously. You can also pick up party members when you're out in the wilderness, as some of the encounters. You can find some extra people to come along, some extra creatures to come along, each of whom bring their own thing. So as you find magical items, some of these are great. So there's some magic items that are like a death weapon. Once off, they will just automatically kill one foe, that sort of thing. Others give you a bonus in damage, bonus in combat. Some of these things will regenerate a party member. Some of them are unpleasant, demonic possession and so on. Yeah, there's also unique items. And again, some of these are just out and out death. It's like, this is a Fey enchanted mushroom. One party member is going to be forced to eat it and they will just die. Unless you've got a Fey person with you who can negate the chant. So it's like, yeah, it's like, it is brutal. But amongst these unique items are, of course, the magic crowns. And you want a magic crown to smack on the head of the Lich King. However, you will blunder about for quite some time before you finally find the crown. Then you've got to get to the Lich King's lair at the far end of the map, so you're still going to have to adventure your way forward, and you get into a special dungeon delve which deals with the Lich King. That's specified here in the book. That's a more complex dungeon. It's got some rules to it, the rules for that final encounter are all delineated. How do you, finally smack this thing's, the crown on its head, or how do you fight him? Yeah, there's a nice little collection of friends that you can find. There's some very sweet little illustrations all the way through it. It's a nice bit of production work. As you can see, it's like a stiff paperback. All the notes for all the charts and tables are in the last couple of pages, and this is our fairly simple starting map. And order of play is pretty specific, so if you've got someone like the Hermit that can heal people, all right, you roll, he can heal before the damage lands. So, if you've got someone that's really down in points, you might want to heal them up before the damage comes in, etc. So now there's also rules in here for playing this in different ways. It's obviously intended for solo play, but you can play with a friend. Yay! Yeah, so you can do things where you've got player versus player, where you have different parties and they're all trying to be the ones that, solve the mighty quest. And in there are rules for party versus party combat, should you desire it. You can also cooperate. You can have multiple people running one party, or you can have multiple parties trying to sort of cooperate to the goal. But so there are different ways of playing this. It plays quite well round the table, I have to say. We played it with like 3 different players, each running a party, wandering around trying to find things, because it was kind of interesting. It was swift enough so that if someone's delving, you can sit there and you can kind of enjoy their delve with them. And some of the NPCs that keep popping up, it's like, oh, here he is again. So it was fun that way. But you've got a little journal. They do encourage you to sort of write this out more fully. So the journal, you've rolled a 6 and you found a river, you found a lake, and 4 walls, but you can kind of write out the journal of your thing and essentially turn it into a little story. So the next cool thing for this is the Demon Lord expansion. So this is a second adventure for this. Once again, it uses time as a factor, so you've still got 12 years to complete this thing. But in this case, there is, what is it? Yes, Demon Lord's power is growing and it's going to screw up the world. This one is actually an interesting scenario, because as the years go by, the world's becoming more and more difficult and more claimed by hell creatures as you go on. So the world's becoming far more corrupted and dangerous to go through as time goes on. So essentially you want to try and finish this thing as quickly as humanly possible, because otherwise you are really battling uphill against the foulness, and the towns that you come into are being taken over by things like this. So this one brings in some new character classes, and this one obviously brings in a ton of more equipment. You can just use the ones specific to this quest. You can splice them both. What's our new ones? We get sorcerers and hunters in this one. So the sorcerer, when you find demonic items, he can negate the bad ones or pick and choose between the good ones. What's the hunter do? All right, the hunter can look ahead into hexes and tell you what the terrain is, and you can avoid dangerous terrain by listening to the hunter. So, but yeah, the fact that things get worse in this is the extra challenge in this one. I haven't managed to win this one yet. I will keep playing. Completely different denizens and completely different creatures, so it has a very different feel. So, and it's a nice little system. I would like to see them do more settings for it, because it's a nice solo game. As you can see, the size of these individual booklets is relatively small. They're jam-packed with everything you need. But I like these kind of, so this is the whole collection of everything here. That will just tuck into your bag if you're heading off to a convention or heading off on holiday. So Oh, for those times when you're stuck on a long plane flight, or you need something quickly to bring out and run for people who are sitting around. You can. I love these kind of. These are the new pocket games. You can bring these out and just run them. So look, I think this is a really sterling effort. Max Moon Games, and this was fun. It was challenging. It was brutal. You're getting parties just hammered, absolutely hammered, and you're staggering back to try and find more members. Like, whoop. Got to get another hermit. And the same rogue is still there. Wait, has this rogue been here and we've reseeded the rest of the party 3 times through? Yeah. Wait, why would anyone go out with this guy again? No, he's great, he's fine. So anyway, designed by Max Moon. It is a great little game. Thank you very much for sending it to me. It was a really, really nice piece of work. Simple design. It's a chart rolling based game, but it has tactical choices in it, and you're not entirely just at the whim of the random dice. Choices that you make will affect play, but yes, you do have to struggle forward, and you do start to make some hard choices about whether you're going to start doing glory runs for heading for the end, or are you going to spend a couple more potential years of game time trying to get yourself better equipment to face the final challenge. So yeah, a nice piece of work. Mr. Schnoots approved. Yee. So anyway, yay. Thank you very much for sending this in. And as I've said, if you are a indie game designer, I'm really happy to do reviews for people. This is how we get our stuff known. Anyway, this is a great game. Do check it out. Links are down there. Find me on Patreon. Because the other way I get games for this channel is I go out and buy them. Even ones that I wouldn't play. Because people have asked me about them, so I get them. And that all comes from the Patreon funds. So, I hope to see everyone around the gaming table. Keep being the best possible ambassadors for the gaming community. And, look after each other. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Yay! Salted caramel Baileys. Ooh. Dee 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 dee.